So the Imjin War, the time Japan invaded Korea. So after unifying Japan, Toyotomi Hideyoshi wanted to conquer China next. He asked Korea for passage through them, but since them being a vassal of China, they obviously said no. In April of 1592, he amassed an army of around 150,000 to 160,000 troops. In May, they set sail and arrived at the port of Busan, or modern-day Busan. They arrive on May 23rd, 1592, and that begins the siege of Busan. After a day of resistance, it falls. On May 25th, the siege of Dongnei occurs. The commander of Dongnei was asked to surrender and let them pass, but he refused, which resulted in them being fully overrun and basically killed. Then on June 4th, the Battle of Songju occurred. They caught the Korean army unprepared, so they were easily routed, and this basically opened the route up to Seoul. Then by June 6th, the Battle of Cheongju occurred. The Korean cavalry was overwhelmed by the Japanese arquebus. This was a major Korean defeat and forced Seoul to be evacuated shortly after. No matter how hard the Koreans fought with their watches, cavalry, archers, foot soldiers, they were no match for the Japanese. The Japanese just came out of the Warring States period, so there was no way that they had the battle experience that all the samurais had. And they also have their new technology of the arquebus and firearms, which the Koreans didn't have. By June 12th, they reached Seoul, and they entered the capital unopposed because King Sunjo evacuated Pyongyang shortly before they arrived, and the rest of the city was also evacuated then. After capturing Seoul, Japan decides to split its force. One heads north to Pyongyang and captures it by July 23rd, and another one they send up the east coast and pretty much go all the way up to the border of China. While they were headed north, there was issues going on down south, and that issue was Admiral Yi Sun-sin. He commanded some of the naval forces for the Korean army, and his secret weapon was the turtle ship. It was covered in spikes. All those holes on the side had cannons in them, and the dragon's head could blow smoke out of it. His first battle was the Battle of Okpo, and this was their first decisive win. The next major battle was the Battle of Sachin, which is where the turtle ships were first used. Next is the Battle of Haesan, where he ambushes the Japanese fleet and destroys about 100 ships. And this cuts all the troops off from up north from supply lines and all that. And this starts to incite uprisings and even Buddhist monk warriors. After Pyongyang is captured, China starts to step in. First they send 5,000 troops, but they're destroyed. So a few months later, in February of 1593, he sends 50,000 troops, and this is where they start to push them back. And with the combination of the uprisings, Yi Sun-sin, and the Chinese, they eventually fall back all the way to Busan by June of 1593. And by the fall of 1593, they reach a peace agreement and eventually pull out. And that's the time Japan invaded Korea.